You posted something about ADHD. I was hosting one of my masterminds recently, and somebody was like, oh, I have ADHD, and they were real embarrassed about it. And then another guy was like, well, I do too. And I'm like, hey, it's a gift in some ways.
I think that there is such a stigma around having ADD, ADHD, neurodivergence, but it is absolutely a superpower and a gift.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the LeanScaper's Guide podcast. Right now, I'm out front of the LeanScaper Airstream at the SIMA Symposium with Kristen. We're drinking coffee. Kristen, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about what is LeanScaper and what do you do there?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. So my name is Kristen Kiely. I'm the Chief Customer Experience Officer here at LeanScaper. So LeanScaper is an operating system for the landscape industry. I started with LeanScaper in February of this year. Before that, I was working at the Grounds Guys, so landscaping franchisor based out of Waco, Texas. Dial it back even further, I was working at LMN with Mark Bradley and Mike Lizecki. I was there from 2016 to 2022. Lots of experience in the landscape industry. My husband in Toronto, Ontario owns a landscaping business. They do about $5 million, mostly design, build, install, and then snow in the winter. So for me, obviously, live, sleep, eat, and breathe landscaping. I love this industry. I think I have a passion for helping landscape businesses become more efficient, more profitable, because I see it. It's at home every day. I just really want the industry to prosper. I think it's really important that landscape companies are efficient and that they're dialed into their financials. And at LeanScaper, that's what we do every day.
That's awesome. So we got connected on Instagram somehow. I started following you, and you posted something about ADHD.
I did.
And I commented. And then we kind of had a continued comment going on ADHD. And then when I learned you were coming to the show, I was like, hey, do you want to come talk about it? I was hosting one of my masterminds recently, and somebody was like, oh, I have ADHD, and they were real embarrassed about it. And then another guy was like, well, I do too. And I'm like, hey, you probably all do. And it's a gift in some ways. And I was 6, I think. This was in the 90s, and I was diagnosed with ADD, which there's a lot of research. Everything has evolved since then into ADHD, so I never was officially diagnosed with it, but I'm going to guess that if they said I had ADD, I probably have it.
Yep. Absolutely. It's really interesting, actually, because for me, growing up as a kid, I wasn't diagnosed. I didn't get diagnosed until I was 35.
Okay.
So during the assessment process, while I was trying to seek out the answers, they were asking me a lot of questions about, hey, what were you like as a kid? Were you disruptive in class? What were your report cards like? And imagine calling your mom at 35 and saying, I need to see all my report cards because I'm getting assessed for ADHD. And she's like, what do you mean? You weren't disruptive in school. And they say that it really does show up differently in males and females.
I've read that, so women are more hypoactive, which is where they go down, like, over-focused on one thing. Is that...
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So was that your experience with it?
That was my experience. Okay. And when I was a kid, I was just so focused on doing the right thing in class and having my teachers like me and getting good grades. And I get what you're saying when you say that it's a gift, because I do think it helped me through school, even if I was masking or unaware of what it was that was happening.
I read a book, I think it's called Rainbow Brain.
Interesting.
And it's a kid's book, it's a picture book about neurodivergence. And it has ADHD and dyslexia. And then I read a book about dyslexia, and it listed landscape designers as people who are very likely to have dyslexia.
Interesting.
And I recently hired a landscape company to do some work at my house. And I live in Colorado on the side of a mountain.
Okay.
And so it's the alley, like my house, like leading up to the alley, there's one slope going up, and then there's this significant slope going down. So it's a very rocky, physically rocky and uneven, and drainage is a big issue, and there's all these different slopes and things going on. And one of the landscape crew was there who was helping me figure out this patio that we were designing. And he could just see the space in a way that I couldn't. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna level this here and we're gonna build this up here. And I'm like, how do you see that?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm neurodivergent. He was like embarrassed. I'm like, no, like, look, you figured it out in like 1 minute. You just came in here and saw what we need to do, and I never would have seen that. I wouldn't have thought of this solution that you thought of.
The creative solution thing is really apparent, right? And it's so funny. There's a team member at LeanScaper on our brand team who is also, he has ADHD as well. And it truly is a gift. And I think that that's probably one of the ways that he taps into his creativity. And he's doing amazing things, right? And I totally agree with you. I think that there is such a stigma around having ADD, ADHD, neurodivergence, but it is absolutely a superpower and a gift.
I was very disruptive in school. So I was getting called out of class, and I was very disruptive. And then the office would call me down. They'd say, John Jostes to the office for your medication.
Oh.
And one, I go by Jack. And two, John is only like police officers or like, you know,
you're in trouble.
The nurse.
The authority.
The authority is going to call. Lawyers are going to
Yeah.
call me John, right? So John was being called to the office for his medication because, and then meanwhile, I was just very disruptive.
Right.
So that was my experience with it. And then I had a first grade teacher though who was like, hey, look, you could choose to be a positive leader or a negative leader. She was like, hey, you have leadership skills. And right now you're choosing to be a negative leader. Do you know what that means? And I'm like, no. I was like 6. I'm like, what does that mean? But that stuck with me. And then later on I was like, oh, I suppose I could choose, instead of like getting all the boys to come, you know, smash something or whatever I would get them to do, to do something positive. But anyway, so it was a negative connotation. And then when I read that book, Rainbow Brain, it talked about the gifts that come with it and then I read that dyslexia book and how dyslexic people, a lot of designers are dyslexic, but they're able to see the physical space and like envision and imagine things.
They see things differently,
right? So how is it a gift for you?
So for me, I do think that over the years after being diagnosed, I think that I was able to kind of shift my mindset. For the longest time, I was like, why is my brain so foggy? Why do I get distracted? Why am I always thinking of 5 different things at the same time? And then I was assessed and I was diagnosed, and I was like, all right, I have 2 options at this point, right? The medication option, or I can try therapy. I can try cognitive behavioral therapy. I can try nutrition. I can try exercise. And I did. I went down that path instead. And I kind of gave myself 6 months. And I said, we're going to see if this can work for 6 months. And if I can't change the way I'm thinking and how I'm performing at work, then we'll try medication instead. And now it's been 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Okay, so and nothing, if medicine is the right answer for the people listening, there's nothing wrong with that.
My gosh, no.
And I had a similar experience though, where I was very medicated. And so one, there was the stigma of come down to the office for your medication. And then 2, I just didn't like the way the drugs made me feel.
Right.
And I tried a variety of things, from Ritalin to, I don't remember what it was called. It was a time-released thing where you take one and it like releases slowly over. And I was 16 when I was like, Mom, I don't want to take medicine for this anymore. And we were just talking, and I was like, hey, I got to write that down. And you're like, oh, I'm going to send it to you. I'm like, yes, but I need to write it down.
Yeah,
I learned that for me, the way to deal with it is to write stuff down. So I take notes, and that helps me, like, because meanwhile, my mind might be, for me, I think of like having a wizard. If you could imagine me as a wizard, there's a wizard in my mind.
I'm going to.
Yes, you should. And he's like, haha. He's like, what do you think of this idea? And sometimes it's like imagining some whole like marketing funnel. For me, I'll be like meeting with somebody, and I'll imagine a whole email sequence and like scripts. And sometimes that comes to me while I really should not be thinking about it.
Right.
And so that's why writing it down is partly like, okay, I am listening.
You're focused on the task.
I'm looking at the words that I'm writing down, and that's kind of became my deal. And then obsessively calendaring.
Yes.
And we emailed about calendaring. So tell me about the calendaring that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So this started when I was at the grounds, guys. That's when I was diagnosed. And for me, I was like, I know that I'm going to get into the exercise. I know that I'm going to start going to therapy, but there's got to be something through my work day to keep me on track.
Uh-huh.
And obviously, you're in an executive position, you're on a lot of meetings, right? So in some ways, I didn't have control over my day. So I decided that it was time to take control. So I started putting blocks in my calendar, like this is a focus time. Nobody can book me during this time because I know at what point throughout the day I'm going to be most creative, or I know when I'm going to be most focused. Usually it's when the caffeine kicks in.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about caffeine and nutrition.
Yeah.
Because we're drinking a cappuccino. Hey, look at this. It's branded LeanScaper. You guys have a little like barista bar.
We do.
So that's pretty cool. And for me, the right amount of caffeine
Yes.
helps me focus. So
Yes.
there's this balancing act though of like there was a period where I would drink over a pot a day.
Yeah.
And then the acid from the coffee bothered my digestion.
No doubt.
So then I switched to mushroom coffee, and we were messaging on Instagram.
We were talking about mushrooms.
So anyways, mushroom coffee is what I normally drink, but when
Okay.
I'm on the road, I have coffee, and like, wow, it's fantastic. Caffeine is.
It's one of those things, right? I think if you can figure out what line you have, like you said, right? If you have the right amount of caffeine, it's okay. But if I have too much, then I'm like frantic.
Yeah.
Right? I get into those mindsets where I can't focus specifically on one thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the right amount, and I'm remembering there was this Andrew Huberman podcast on ADHD. It's like 3.5. One of them. He has several of them that are like 3 hours long.
Okay.
And I'm like, how am I going to focus on this? So I had to like take notes and like do chunks of it.
Yes.
But one of them was about caffeine and tobacco and nicotine, and specifically why many people with ADHD and for me, I smoked cigarettes for a long time.
Me too.
Did you quit?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're totally fine.
But you don't smell like cigarettes, so that's
thank you.
You know, that's good. I used to smoke so many cigarettes, and I would drink like a pot of coffee. And I don't necessarily regret it. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But then it became like a pack and a half a day thing.
Right.
And now I haven't had a cigarette in I think 12 years or something. But
Yeah. I'm 7.
but many people I know, you see them with Mountain Dew and cigarettes, and there's just like maybe you're kind of like self-medicating for ADHD.
I was going to say the exact same thing, and it's funny because my first therapist, when I first started going to her, we were talking about ways that I could help self-regulate, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing that she told me was to work on my exhale. So when I get into one of those moments where I'm like, ooh, I am really dysregulated right now, really focusing on my breathing and the exhale specifically helps to kind of bring me back in. And I had this moment of clarity where I was like, wait a minute, I used to be a smoker. And I did find that in those moments when I was smoking, when I was exhaling, I did find that I was calmer.
Yeah.
Or I was more focused in on whatever I was doing other than smoking.
Yeah.
And it's just
Well, that's good
interesting
that
how it
you can
goes
do it
together.
without the smoke.
I know, yeah. Now
So I was curious. So you posted something about nutrition.
I did.
And I wanted to talk about that for a minute
Yep.
because I think it's often overlooked the importance of protein.
Yes.
And on mental health in general, and specifically for ADHD.
That's right.
So what have you learned about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, throughout the day, again, being on meetings all day or focused on tasks all day, I would find that I would go the whole day without eating. And then by 2 p.m., 3 p.m., I'm crashing.
Yeah.
I'm tired, I have a headache, I'm obviously hungry, but I've just forgotten, right? And so during this process, getting assessed, getting diagnosed, I was like, all right, we're going to try all of these things, right? Hired a nutritionist. She said, all right, the first thing I want you to do is focus on your protein levels. So now by lunchtime, I'm aiming to get at least 100 grams of protein.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't even eat 100 grams of protein in a day.
I know.
And so I love that you're doing that. I'm doing
Very
that too.
focused.
So how are you doing it? Because my experience with this, I have a business coach. He brought in a strength coach, and I went through this strength coaching thing, and I had never done that. And part of it was, he's like, yeah, you need to eat, for you, Jack, you need 180 grams of protein a day. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go for it. And then I ended up gaining a ton of weight because I was overeating everything else that came with it, because I was eating like jambalaya or chili or like things that had a ton of other calories with it.
Right.
So it was really difficult, and then I got into single ingredient foods. So I eat a lot of beef.
Yes.
I actually just bought a half cow.
Okay. Oh, I've got a story about that. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
you do?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to get us too off track, two ADHD people on a podcast, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah. But I bought a cow because then I can get all this protein.
Yes.
And I had a steak today.
Nice.
For breakfast.
Did you bring it from home?
No, I actually stayed in an Airbnb.
Oh, did you?
So I do video production,
Yep.
and I do a mobile video studio around these shows.
Interesting.
I rent at like a high-end Airbnb,
Yeah.
and then I bring my video studio, and this morning I made steak and baked potatoes.
That's excellent, and you're. I love that for you.
Yes, you're targeting 100 grams of protein before noon?
By lunchtime.
Okay.
Yes.
How has that one thing impacted your mental health, would you say?
Absolutely. It's really interesting. I find that when I eat properly, I have so much more mental clarity.
Yeah.
Right? I have so much more energy. I'm able to get through the day. I'm able to focus. It's just been really good as well to help me get more into exercise, right? Because I'm feeling better throughout the day. I have more energy to work out. It's interesting. I think you said, how are you doing that? I actually use a lot of collagen, eat a lot of yogurt, things like that. Definitely the single ingredient foods are important too, right? Lots of whole foods. That was one of the things that my nutritionist said was really important too.
I found, like when you commit to eating 100 to 130 total in a day, I'm doing 180. I found another thing that happened. So I did the carnivore diet last year for 10 weeks.
I believe it. You said you have a half cow, right?
Yeah. Well, and that was part of it because it became really expensive.
Yes.
And I just found, though, that eating beef was like, man, I felt incredible.
Yep.
And it was part of like a gut health thing. And I did the gut health reset. I lost a lot of weight. And that wasn't necessarily the reason why I did it. It was more about the gut health thing.
Yes.
But then I found that I increased my strength training, and I was waking up starving at like 3 a.m.
Oh, no way.
Because I was working out,
calories.
and then my body was like, I just was under eating. So I don't know. It's a challenge, I think, because eating that amount of protein, I found that I'm just not really hungry, and I have to like focus on eating the rest of the food.
Yes.
Do you have?
Absolutely.
Like it's like work.
Yep.
Whereas I used to just kind of eat what I felt like.
Yep.
And I would have those energy crashes around 2:30.
I feel like I'm a very organized person these days, so I do still track everything that I eat, and I find that helps too, right? So I know where the gaps are, I know what I need to do throughout the day. I plan everything, so I always know what I'm eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I find that helps too, right? Especially if the day gets away from you and you're super busy. It's nice to just know that you don't have to think about those things.
What was your half cow story?
Oh, my half cow story. So in high school, I was dating a farmer's son.
Okay.
And they had cows on their property, and he bought his first cow. His name was Chester.
Okay.
And I remember this calf coming in, and we'd go there all the time. We'd four-wheel over to the cows and loved Chester, got to know him really well. Well, they decided to send him to the butcher, and then they sold my parents half of Chester. Needless to say...
Wait, so Chester was the cow?
Chester was the cow.
Okay.
Yeah. Needless to say, I didn't have any. Yeah.
Because you got to know Chester.
That's right. Chester was friends,
too personal.
not food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Kristen, we've talked a bit about ADHD.
Yeah.
You've got really cool stuff going on with LeanScaper.
We do.
We've got to wrap up, though.
Yeah.
So for folks listening who want to network with you, where can we connect?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me on Instagram. It's Kristen Kiely, CXO. I'm on LinkedIn as well, right? If you go to LeanScaper, you're going to find me. And we're really trying to spread the word. I think what we're trying to do in this industry is create a movement, and it feels powerful and it feels like it's happening. So I would just encourage any landscapers out there that are looking at ways that they can be more lean, more efficient, more profitable, reach out. Let's have a conversation.
Cool. Well, I'll put links to your Instagram and LinkedIn and
I love that.
LeanScaper website.
Thank you.
And definitely dig what you guys are doing. And thanks for coming on the LeanScaper's
Hey,
Guide.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for coffee.
Of course. Absolutely.
It was great.
Like today's video and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get upcoming videos to help you grow your snow and landscape company. My name's Jack Jostes, and check out my free resources in the show notes and click the next video to grow your business.